What's up guys, it's Enlik here, and in today's video we're going to go over a Blocky and easy rated OSCP like box from JSON-Sec's list. So I'm going to walk you through my methodology and how I solve this box, how I think and how I solved it. So let's grab the IP and let's run an nmap scan. Let's do tag VV so that we can see the output as we retrieve it, and let's do tag ON to save it as blockymap. And as it's scanning, we see that port 80, 22, and 21 are open. 21 for FTP, SSH, and we have a web server running on port 80. We can try right off the bat to FTP in anonymously. Let's try if FTP has anonymous login, anonymous, and we are not successful. So that kind of sucks. Let's exit out of that. Now that this scan came in, let's bring it to this window, cat n. We see that port 80 is running WordPress version 4.8. Let's run Sublime and let's run it. WordPress version 4.8 and vulnerable. We'll type vulnerable question mark as we do not know if it's vulnerable as of yet or if that's the attack vector we need to use to solve this machine. SSH is usually not the vector of attack, so we can ignore that. So let's go to port 80 and let's enumerate. Wrong window. Let's grab the IP and let's go. We're introduced to a web page with the title Blockcraft under construction. We can do some manual enumeration, click around some links, hopefully find maybe some credentials, some valuable information that will help us get initial foothold. Clicking at some links, we don't really get anything. Welcome to Blockcraft. Welcome to Blockcraft. We see we get a user as Notch. We can use that for later, so let's copy that down. User Notch question mark. We don't know if we're not going to need that for later. Let's just write question mark. And looking at a Wapalizer, which is an extension which kind of shows you the technologies that a website is running, confirms that the WordPress version is 4.8. So that's good to know. So now that we know that there's nothing else really on the site, we can do some web fuzzing or directory brute forcing and see what we find. I'm going to be using a tool I've been using lately called FUF. Let's feed it the URL. Where's the URL? Here. Let's close that out and let's use the word list. Common. It's always, what did I mess up in the syntax? Oh, I didn't provide the word list flag. There we go. And it's always good to use multiple word lists when doing a scan, because some scans do not in fact catch everything some other word lists might. So let's run two different scans at the same time with different word lists and see what they each catch. So we get some interesting output here. We get phpMyAdmin. If we head to the phpMyAdmin page, we can see it's a login page. It's always a good idea to try some default logins. Let's try admin password, and we're unsuccessful. Let's also try something else interesting here. We have WordPress admin. That looks interesting as well. Let's go to this, duplicate it, and let's go to WordPress admin, and it looks like another admin page, login page for WordPress. You can try some default credentials here also, and we're also unsuccessful with any sort of login. Okay, well, there is a neat tool we can use, since now we know that WordPress is running as the web page's CMS, content management system. We can use a cool tool called WP Scan, which will allow us to enumerate for anything interesting, any interesting plugins or maybe users. WP Scan is indeed a vulnerability scanner that can be used to scan WordPress installations. So we can find it in GitHub. I can link it in chat. Sorry, in the description below, I'll link it. So let's run the output. Running the output here, we can use WP Scan. Let's do type URL for the URL and feed it the URL. Let's feed it that. And we're gonna use tag enumerate AP T TT and U for users, themes, a bunch of stuff. And we can tee this to a file called WordPress.txt. And let's see what this scan gives us. His login tells us that the daemon uses 27. Nothing really interesting for now. Yeah, nothing interesting. Version 1.8 for what? For the author. 17. Let's wait for this scan to be done, and hopefully we retrieve something that can help us get a foothold. Looking at the scan, we can also keep looking here while this finishes loading. We can try JavaScript. Let's try this. We do not have access, so there's no point in going through that. And we also have plugins. Let's check if that is anything of interest. And going to this page, we see 2 files. This might be interesting, so let's save these files to our local machine and transfer them to our directory. Let's move them from our downloads, Blocky, and then let's do the second one. What is it, grief? And as we can check, we have both our files in our directory now. It looks like the scan down here is complete, and with the scan we can confirm that it identified a user called Notch. So we can indeed confirm that Notch is a user that will be important for later. We're not going to save that yet. If we cat it, we can check that we have it, just in case we lose it. Now that we know this, we seem to have 2 Java files that we were able to download. And there's a nice pre-installed tool that Kali come with called JDGUI, which is a Java decompiler that allows us, let me see, that gives you a nice interface to view these files, right? And all you need to do to download it is sudo apt install jd tech GUI, and you should have it. I already have downloaded, so I'm not gonna mess with that. So let's open these files. Not here. Let's go here and let's go back to this bottom window. Let's do JD GUI, and let's do the first one. Let's do grief. It should, I'm not sure why I didn't open it right away, but if you check here, after some time enumerating this, I can confirm there's really nothing interesting here. So I did spend some time looking at it. Nothing interesting. Let's go to the other file, and once again, I don't know why I didn't open it right away. We'll open it, and we see some credentials for root and the password. That is definitely important. Let's write that down as root, and let's copy this password. It might be the credentials. Now that we have credentials, we can try FTPing in 10.10.10.37 as root user with the password provided. And we get our login failed. So we are unable to log in as root. Let's try SSHing in with the password, and then SSH root at 10.10.10.37, and hopefully we get a login. We get permission denied. So we're unable to log in through FTP or SSH. But we do have two other login pages. We still have the WordPress admin page that we can try root and the password on. And also for good measure, we can try the user notch. It's always good to reuse your passwords on every user you collect, because you never know if people are using the same default password and or password for every user, which is a security risk. I do not recommend you doing that. There's also this PHP my admin page that we saw earlier that we were unsuccessful in logging into. Let's try admin with the password. We're unsuccessful. Let's try notch. Also unsuccessful. And let's try our last user. And look at that. We're able to log in to this page. Looking around for some time, we can check WordPress users. We again confirm that Notch is a user. We see his password. We tried brute forcing this, we tried cracking it, nothing interesting. And we have his email. We can copy that down if we really wanted to. But for now, it's not going to be really important. So after some time, we decide to also keep the mentality of reusing passwords for every user. So we can indeed try to SSH as Notch. Oops, copy the email. As Notch through Notch. And let's try if this works. 10.10.10.37. And look, we're successful. So now we're the user Notch, and we can indeed copy user text. We can look around. I've already looked. There's nothing really interesting. You're looking around. You can run a privilege escalation script, linps, but before we run any automation, we can do some manual ways of trying to escalate our privileges to root. One of the good ways we can do it is through sudo techl. Sudo is indeed installed. Let's grab the password once again, and we see that Notch has the ability to run the commands on Blocky all. A quick Google search for this would tell you that the user Notch in this case has the permission to run any command as any user on all hosts. so he can run any programs with the privileges of another user. So in this case, we can try any command, simple command to elevate our privileges, #I, and look at that, we're root. We can do who am I, ID, and we're root. So let's do let's cd to the root directory, and we indeed get the root text. So in this video, we learned to not reuse the passwords for every user, as that is an easy way for attackers to spray every user with the same credentials and successfully log in if you guys are using the password. So thank you guys for watching. In the next week, I'll be posting another OSCP like box. Stay tuned.